Okay, all right. So, welcome to the Megaport Live Tech Drop-In. My name is David Sloan, and I've been at Megaport for some 3.5 years now. And today I would like to talk to you about our Megaport Hybrid Cloud solution, um, and how this gives our customers lots of scope and advantages in operating in a multi-cloud environment and into their network ecosystems. So, okay, let's get going. So, this is really a level set slide. So, for those of you who don't know about Megaport's network proposition, Megaport's proposition is based on the concept of network as a service, or NAS. NAS provides the network in a way that's much more aligned with cloud subscription models, with services being available on demand and in near real time. NAS provides the underlay building blocks for organizations like yourselves to deploy a whole host of technical solutions to match your operational business requirements. So, what makes NAS a NAS platform different? Well, first of all, it's the reach. Megaport NAS is part of a virtualized global ecosystem built on pre existing hardware. This gives you the ability to deploy capacity to all the well known cloud service providers, giving access to thousands of IT based services, as well as having connectivity to our 850 enabled data centers across the globe. And this all can be done in near real time in a software defined manner. It has a very predictable performance, like having your own private lines in effect. Your data travels on our private global network with no internet within the core. All of these components can then be linked together with virtualized network cross connects. We call them VXCs, and they are layer 2 MPLS pseudo wires built across our network. And all of this has the added benefit of making any cloud hybrid solution highly secure. You only pay also for the capacity you wish to deploy, as this is all pre-built and virtualized. You can scale that capacity that you require up and down on demand. You no longer have to worry about traffic spikes or wasted capacity, and this ensures really good end user application performance. The Megaport on demand components are incredibly versatile. They allow you to launch physical ports within data centers, which I'll demonstrate a bit later, and then use our virtual cross connects across our network to connect to devices such as virtual routers, virtual firewalls, and virtualized SD-WAN elements, all within our network, and further connections to Megaport's internet to allow remote branch interworking. And this makes NAS services very cost effective because these can all be designed, deployed, and fully operational in minutes and be available for only the term you need. This reduces your upfront infrastructure costs to zero, as your Megaport assets are virtual and require no capital investment or hardware provision. It's also worth mentioning egress fees for all cloud providers via Megaport partner on ramps are significantly lower, some as much as 75% compared with internet egress fees. So, another great financial benefit if you are a large user. And finally, you can design, deploy, manage, and monitor all on a single secure portal. It is a point and click service, very much in the way that you consume cloud services. You bring your and you can bring your cloud service keys, and this makes establishing private connectivity really simple. But for those with more sophisticated needs, both Terraform and API build calls are available for a whole host of deployment and management scenarios. So, Megaport, where is our NAS? So, here is a quick snapshot to show our global reach. You can access Megaport's NAS network or software defined network in over 850 locations across the globe. And please note there are two types of locations where you can connect to Megaport's network. There's an installed location, and these are locations where Megaport has actual hardware in. And there are enabled locations. And these locations are within the same campus or metro area as a Megaport installed location. Um, and Megaport hardware is not located within these enabled locations facilities, but you can access Megaport through a private intra-campus or intra-metro cross-connect. And as you can see, we've got strong presence in NAM, EMEA, and APAC, with other countries coming online in the very near future. So why hybrid cloud? What is hybrid cloud? A hybrid cloud story combines both public and private cloud components, allowing data and applications to be shared between them to allow you to reap the benefits of this. And this is typically from your on-premise data center to a cloud provider. So what considerations do you need to think about when you are building a hybrid cloud solution? Well, first off, it's your cloud service providers. These are people like Amazon Web Services, Microsoft Azure, Google Cloud, IBM, Oracle, and Wasabi, to name but a few. In fact, Megaport has an ecosystem of over 100 service provider organizations. Another key component is your current DC location, which Megaport has 850 of them available. And these are where your applications and services were likely originally hosted. And finally, how are you going to connect the two together? How are you going to connect your DC to your cloud providers, and what considerations should you think about? Should it be the internet, potentially with high egress costs, maybe unpredictable performance, potential security concerns, compliance issues, and VPN bandwidth limitations? Or could it be a dedicated private connection from a cloud provider, which is limited to that single cloud provider and is potentially expensive? Or could it be from a cloud provider like Megaport, which can enable configuration to cloud services within minutes, which you can consolidate and have on a single port AWS Direct Connects, Azure Express routes, and Google attachments, all on one single service? So, and why would you use hybrid connectivity? It could be used from a business perspective, the requirement for flexibility. You can choose the best cloud environment for different tasks. You could do it for moving workloads between on-premise and clouds as needed, or the requirement for scalability. In the cloud and with Megaport, it's easy to scale resources up and down, or using cloud resources when the on-premise capacity is full, or cost efficiency. You could use clouds for general simple tasks and keep critical sensitive operations in the on-premise in your DC. And there's security and compliance concerns. You would keep sensitive data in your DC and use clouds for less sensitive data to meet any regulatory requirements. And disaster recovery and business continuity. Using both on-premise and cloud resources allows you to recover from disaster recovery situations and returning to normal operations as quickly as possible. So, what does a Megaport provide in a data center to ensure that you have good hybrid cloud connectivity options? Well, what we offer is our namesake, the Megaport. This is built into our NAS proposition. The Megaport is handed off into the data center, and it's a layer 1, layer 2 connection available, as I said, in those 850 on-premise data centers globally. Megaports are typically handed off at 1 gig, 10 gig, or 100 gig, all with long reach single mode optics. And when the port is configured, the Megaport portal provides a letter of authority which denotes the Meet Me Room handoff, and you can hand this to your data center operator who can connect your equipment by physical cross connect to our demarcation point. Megaports can be used in lag groups and can be configured from multiple diverse chassis in almost all of our data centers. Outlined here is a simple example of a customer that has a single network device, which will be operating in their DC with their own infrastructure behind. And this could be built upon and augmented, but they have a single device in this to keep it simple, running within their data center. And this end equipment could be a router, a firewall, or an SD-WAN device. A VXC or VLAN, as we described earlier, is then configured from the Megaport in the data center into services such as AWS Direct Connect, Azure Express Routes, or Google Attachments. These VXCs are fully transparent layer 2 circuits. It is worth mentioning that there are a further 100 CSPs and other ecosystem services you can connect to. And you can also connect your VXC to another data center or an internet exchange or into another service in the Megaport marketplace. And I'm going to demonstrate that shortly. So ports take a few minutes to deploy and VXCs take a few minutes to deploy. And it's worth mentioning that each Megaport can have up to 100 VXCs on it at full port speed. So you can oversubscribe your port. So one VLAN into Express Route, for instance, could be using capacity when the VLAN into Direct Connect or into AWS isn't. So it allows you to actually oversubscribe your service and make best use of those assets. So now on to a demo. So I'm going to demonstrate creating two diverse ports in a single data center in London. And I'm going to connect one port into a VXC into an AWS Direct Connect and another VXC into an Azure Express Route. The other port in London, I will configure a VXC into Megaport Internet and another connection from a VXC to a DC that I've already created in Frankfurt. And it's worth bearing in mind that I'm going to show you the whole portal in its entirety. Right, so let's get cracking with that. So here we have the portal, and this is a partner portal. I'm just using this for demonstration purposes. But the portal, if you're a direct customer, will have very much the same feel. It may look a little different, but essentially it will be the same. So here we have it. So we have the ability from this portal, I'm in services now, to create ports, create MCRs, and create MVEs. And create MCRs and MVEs are available on other Megaport live sessions, so it's well worth tapping in to see those. But in this particular instance, I'm going to create a port. So here's my, here is the drop down for the port. So we're going to select on the country filter, we're going to select United Kingdom. So we'll go down the list, we'll select United Kingdom. And here we have, all the data centers in the United Kingdom that have Megaport equipment in. So it's pretty extensive. And as you can see, we're vendor agnostic. So we have lots of different data centers with lots of different providers to give you a good choice of data centers. In this particular instance, I think I might select, let's go for Telehouse North. Let's select that location. So we click next. Now, so we've got here, as I mentioned before, we've got port speeds of 1, 10, and 100. I'm going to select in this particular instance 10 gig. I'm going to give that a name. That's London Live Link 1. And as we drop down, there are informations for you to add any internal references that you might want to place. And furthermore, you've got all the contract terms. So you may have very different contract terms to these. This is just a generic portal. And then you've got the options here for port diversity. So we're going to select create a diverse pair as we talked about. And we'll call that second pair London Live Link 2. Okay, and we've got the option for each of the two different ports to build extra ports, extra 10 gigs, and put them into lag groups. However, they won't share the same lag group. They will be off of different chassis, so they won't share the same lag group. So I'm going to disable that anyway. I'm going to click next. So here we have a quick summary of the service. So we've got a port. We're not running lag. We're not running LATV across lag. We're port speeds of 10 gig. We've got them on the subscription for 12 months. As you can see, we've got term discount. We're creating a diverse pair. We've got them in two different diversity zones within this particular DC to enhance the resiliency of the services. So we'll add that port. We'll order the port. So it went through a validation process, and then terms and conditions are here, and you simply order the service. So while that's coming up, give that just a second or two. So this is actually a live portal, so it's building services as we speak on the call. Okay, so while we're waiting for the LOAs to be available, we'll start building connections on these services. So first off, we'll build a connection. And the first one we described was AWS. So we're going to click on cloud. I'm going to go down the list. And as you can see, let me bring this list up a little bit. You can see we've got a lot of different cloud, and these are the main cloud providers we connect into. We've got a lot of subsidiary cloud providers that are in the marketplace as well. So we'll select AWS, and we've got choices for hosted VIF, which is very competitive, and we've got choices for hosted connection. Now, hosted VIF goes up to 5 gig. That's the demarcation that AWS has set and can connect into direct connect gateways and virtual gateways. Hosted connection can go into transit gateways. So there's a great, we've got great flexibility and for great costing. So anyway, we'll select a hosted VIF in this instance, and we'll select our country to be the UK. So we'll select, we'll connect to EU West 2, I think, in London. So we've got 2 on-ramps within the UK, so you can have different ports going into 2 different accesses into the AWS environment to create higher resiliency levels. Anyway, so we'll click next. As we go through, we'll call this AWS link on. Link 1. We can set a rate limit up to 5 gig on hosted VIFs, but we'll just do a simple 50 megs. We can shut the VXC down when you're actually operating the service. So this allows you to do maintenance windows and shut services down without actually deleting them. And you also can add API tags manually here if you choose to. We can assign VLANs. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to let the service auto assign. And we've got all the subscription bases from per hour effectively all the way through to 36 months. So we select next there. All I need to do is just very quickly pick up my AWS account ID. So I pick that up. So this would be your AWS account that you would have. You place this information in, and you would tell the AWS account what is the ASN of the device that you're going to connect to onto the Megaport on that VLAN. You can create BGP auth keys, and you can assign IP addresses, but these can be done automatically if you just go through this process. So we'll order that service. So that's AWS up and running. And we'll order that now. So the next service I'm going to order is an Azure service to show the flexibility of how this service works. So I'm going to collect back into the cloud again. I can go into, let me just bring this up again so you can see it better. I'll go into Azure. I'm going to lift a service key that I created earlier today to save a bit of time. So this works slightly different. So you generate a service key for an express route within, you create an express route within your Microsoft account. This will go through and validate. I've created the on-ramp location to be Amsterdam. So I'm going to show you that obviously we can connect to Azure anywhere that you see fit, but you might say your region's closer and I'm buying a standard SKU. So I'm going to buy something in London, but this is just to demonstrate the flexibility of the network. You've got all the same information here. We can call that Azure link. We can set our rate limits. We can enable the VXC state. We can add all the same things, the API tags. We've all got the same subscription terms, and we can add, if we're doing single VLAN peering just for our express route into a private environment, we can add, we can offer single VLAN peering, or if you're just going to use it into Microsoft peering and private peering, then you can leave it open and have run 802.1q. Anyway, we'll click next there. We'll add the VXC and we'll order that service. So as you can see, we're starting to build up an ecosystem of services, and that should come up within a few seconds. The next thing we'll move on is to move on to the Megaport Internet service that should be available. Sometimes the Azure links can take a little longer than the others as it's making the API call, but there we go. So we're up and running. It's also worth mentioning that that the LOAs will start to become available. So here is your LOA from the London link, and this gives you the fiber pair location where you can give this to your data center operator, and they can simply then build that connect. So if it's on an expedite, you can have a port up and running and connected into cloud services in that data center within a couple of days. So it can be very, very quick. Then we're going to obviously create another connection, which is a private VXC connection to our Frankfurt DC that we pre-built. So we're going to build into there. We'll give that the link Frankfurt designation. We'll give it a rate limit. So we can between DCs, we can go up to 100 gig where capacity is available. But because the port speeds are 10 gig, we can go up to 10 gig if we want to. I'm not going to build something that big just for the demo. We've got all the same features. We've got the ability to shut down VXCs if we want to for test. We can add API tags, and you've got your contract terms and the assignments of VLANs. But I'm not going to do any of those. I'm going to select all the standard terms and just add that VXC and order that service. So as you can see, we've created a link between Frankfurt and London. We've connected into Azure. We've connected into AWS. And finally, you can connect, okay, I need some internet. So I'm going to connect into one of the two diversity zones that we have in London. So we've got two diverse on-ramps into the Megaport internet proposition, and that can go fully up to 10 gigs. So we can do 10 gig if we choose. I'm going to do 20 meg, all the same features apply as all the other VXCs. And we can add that and order that service. So as you can see, very quickly, you can build up a whole ecosystem, and this is all deployed and available as we speak. Right, so let me just move this away now. So I think that's the demo pretty much completed. So I suppose it's a quick look at any questions that we have. Let me just have a quick look at any questions. Give me a second. Okay, so there's a couple. The first one is, where can I find a list of service providers you support? So this is available in the Megaport marketplace, as I mentioned before. I think we've got 365 service providers that we can connect into. So there'll be organizations that offer SIP or offer WebEx connectivity or offer internet, IP transit services. There's a whole ecosystem. So it's well worth you looking in that partner, that AWS marketplace environment within the portal. Oh, okay, it's something I missed. Do you support AWS interconnections up to 25 gig, the new interconnections that have recently been upgraded? So yes, this is now available in we've got 60 on-ramp locations, which often they have diverse on-ramps in those particular locations, and we can do that up to the full 25 gig. So I'll leave it there for questions, but thank you for those questions. So really, just to recap on the whole thing, the Megaport port allows your organization to have a hybrid multi-cloud strategy whilst requiring no upfront investment. With the port, just the minimum monthly term, all the VXCs and all the other services by the hour. The port creates an instant point of presence in minutes in a data center and only require really that cross connect to get going. It's great for private and secure with low latency to foreign locations. And it's great for projects short and long term. It allows for that hybrid interworking, so you can run multiple clouds and not limited to just one cloud and multiple infrastructure on those ports. And it's great for data center migrations, mergers and acquisitions, integrations, disaster recovery, and business continuity. And it's very easy to use. It only requires basic networking knowledge. And there's plenty of documentation on our website, but we are more than happy as solutions architects to come on a call with you and help you build those Megaport assets into your cloud environment. And remember, finally, I suppose, is remember those lower egress fees that charges from CSPs compared to internet VPNs, as well as it being fully private and secure with the capacity to go up to 10 gig in most of the cloud providers. But it's probably also worth mentioning that you can do 25 gig with AWS, because somebody asked that question, 20 gig for Google, and you can do n times 10 gig with Azure. And the other thing is, where capacity is available, you can do up to 100 gig from a Megaport to a Megaport through our data center interconnect product. So I hope this has been very useful. And please look out for those other Megaport live sessions that cover a whole raft of different subjects. They're really great sound bites to see what's evolving in the world of cloud connectivity and network as a service propositions. So until then, thank you and goodbye.